Up Max 1 here of the interstate. This is Interstate 55. I'm not sure if we can, there we go. Okay, so this is actually in effect from all of the flood damage. So this is Interstate 55 near Funk's Grove. This is a road that is closed indefinitely southwest of Bloomington there. Again, flood damage will continue to be a big factor with these storms here. And I'll go ahead and show another viewer photo that was sent in of the heavy rain and storms. This was in Roberts. That's sent in from one of our viewers as well. So thank you all who have been submitting photos and videos. And Jacob, you can talk a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at more photos if we have time during the 6 o'clock news. I'd like to bring me back on camera 1 really quick here as we watch these circulations. The next radar update has come in on my screen here down below. We'll bring camera 1 up full on program. This circulation now is sitting on the southwest side of Atwood, and it is very close. There's no immediate indications that, from what I can tell from some of my products behind the scenes, that we see a tornado down, but definitely a very ominous signature for the city of Atwood. Atwood sits here, Garrett sits there. This is Hammond. This is coming very close to the city of Atwood. We're very concerned for our friends in Atwood right now, and we do have to mention there's another circulation back here down towards Lovington. So once this updates, should update here in a moment, we'll see that advancement of the circulation. Very concerned about that Atwood community right now. A storm very close. They're moving into the region, and just checking. It's darn close. A little too uncomfortable with this signature that we're seeing on radar with these storms that are moving on in. So we continue to watch here. We're going to talk more about Atwood, and we're talking specifically to you at this point, but we also want to mention Chesterville, Arthur, Arcola, Lovington, Hammond. Still, those areas need to shelter because of the second circulation on the southeast side of Lovington. The main one, though, is in Atwood at this time, and there's been no indication at this point of damage in the area based on radar, but we continue to watch it here, and it is a very ominous signature on radar. I'll show you the reflectivity to give you an idea of this. This storm here now, as we see it updated, has wrapped up sitting right over Atwood on US 36 west of Tuscola. It's right near the county line here. The tornado warning does continue for Douglas County also, and I would expect that based on what I'm seeing on radar is this will get an extension off to the north and to the east. And based on everything I'm seeing here, we're darn close to Atwood, if not carrying it outside of town. And that's going to be the case for us here moving forth with this new tornado warning that is in effect. I do want to mention we're watching another storm here in southern Iroquois County, just kind of keeping an eye on it near Stockland, north and east of Wellington. Here's Milford, there's Stockland, here's Wellington. They call that area Wellington Prairieford, or Wellingtonford land, I think is what it is. Kind of the combination of all the towns. That area is seeing another area of circulation near Stockland. The hope is that we can get this circulation out of here into Iroquois County before it strengthens. But if it does strengthen, then that may be something where we've got to watch for rural eastern Iroquois County near Stockland. Once it crosses into Indiana, though, into Benton County, that becomes a Benton County and an Indiana, Lafayette, Indiana television market problem. Our main focus at this point is for this storm that is near Atwood, a very strong signature on radar indicating that there may be a tornado down or close to down here. Kevin is driving south as quick as he can and coming in here. Of course, if you have any reports in the area, let us know. Maybe you lose power or you, kind of keep updated there. But this, we're checking some of those chats and some of those comments in there. And again, we appreciate our viewers who are working hard to let us know what's going on. Atwoods, give us a few more minutes for this one. But remember, the second circulation down by Cadwell coming into Arthur shortly, we'll be following it. Not nearly as strong of a signature as this Atwood is. Going to have to watch it closely here. And we'll take a look at some of those velocity products again here before we take an area-wide view and hit the reset button. It looks like at this point, if there's a circulation, here's Atwood, just northeast of town now, carrying into Douglas County. Atwood, give me more time, though, because there's a second area of circulation that is developed and is trying to organize, now crossing Illinois 133 from Cadwell, west of Arthur. Arthur, we also need you in your tornado shelter. At this point, I can give an all clear to Lovington, and it is still, as of now, an all clear for areas north and west of Sullivan. Still, though, down the line, Here we go. We're trying to get maybe something else with that next cell from Sullivan to Allenville, and that's going to be in Mattoon, Charleston, looking off to the north and to the west. I'd like to bring the Mattoon camera full real fast here for a second, but before we do so, some housekeeping notes once I get that taken care of is with these storms here. We're watching this one tornado warning that goes until 6:30 for parts of Douglas, Moultrie, and southeastern Piatt County. I'm WCIA 3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. The time now is 6 p.m. WCIA 3 News at 6 starts now, and the news is weather. We're tracking a tornado warning with an area of rotation now very near to Atwood, carrying off to the north and to the east. This is our one tornado warning that we're watching. Still, though, we do have other storms to mention. We're getting towards the time of night where we're expecting things to start calming down a little bit, but that may not be the case here. Well, here's the storm in Vermilion County and Iroquois County. Still severe thunderstorm warned. I do not have a warning for Champaign County at this point. There's been some heavy rain. There's been some reports of tree damage in Rantoul, and you've shared some photos with us in Champaign and Urbana. That gusty line of storms continues to the east, but the strongest signature now for wind is approaching Hoopeston along Route 9, that backward C shape, the surging winds coming into the city of Hoopeston now and into parts of southern Iroquois County. We also continue to watch this storm near Stockland, and I'll take a quick vantage point here. You can kind of see where that little circulation may be, not imminent, but definitely worth monitoring here. Another vantage point shows us the same thing, just from a different radar between Chicago and Lincoln, and we'll take a third look at it here. Getting the idea of a weak circulation near Stockland in Iroquois County, though tornado not imminently likely with that for now. We are going to check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy in a moment. What I do want to do, though, is I'm going to bring up our camera, and we're going to pull up the Mattoon camera and see if we can't take a look at it. And if we can bring that camera full, that's Mattoon camera. Let's bring that full screen while we look at some new information. So bring that, the camera, not the, that's going to be, that's the radar. We need to bring the camera full screen, the Skycam 1. There we go, Mattoon. This is looking off to the west. You can see that line of storms there. We'll continue to watch it. Okay, we'll continue to watch it from the Weather Camera 1 in the area. I will say there have been reports of some damage. Ooh, wow. Lauren, if you can, in the back, if Lauren's there, we just got some photos from Chatsworth of some structural damage from an earlier storm that came on through, and she's going to check that out. But we're watching this camera. Notice in the distance on the right side of your screen from Mattoon. That's where some of those other storms are. The actual tornadic part of the storms are just to the right. I don't have the ability to turn them, but we're going to watch them closely and keep you updated on that here as we bring back to our radar coverage now for this tornado warnings that are now in part of our viewing area. It is 6:03 here. Let's bring camera 1 back on full screen. Real quick, this area of circulation now northeast of Atwood heading towards Chicken Bristle. The tornado warning does not include the city of Tuscola or Pisodum. It is, though, for Atwood. I can give an all clear to Hammond. I can give an all clear to Lovington. We're also watching a second circulation, though, somewhere in Arthur, not nearly as strong. Arthur, it points to the west and north along Illinois 133. This will be carrying to the north and east and following behind that. So Atwood, for now, go ahead and stay in your shelters. Remember, when there's a tornado warning, we encourage you in, down, and up to cover up from that as we watch. Lauren from Atwood letting us know there's loud thunder in Atwood, but she's not looking out the window, and that's exactly what we encourage you to do when there's a tornado warning. There's the new one just extended now. New tornado warning now for Champaign County. This radio is about to go off. In addition, your phone probably in Champaign County may go off as well. We'll see if that happens. We're going to talk more about this new warning real quick. There it is. The weather radio now, the first tornado warning from the new NOAA radio on our tower. That beeping sound, you're hearing your weather radios go off at home. And some folks in southern Champaign County now hearing their wireless emergency alerts on their phone. That would be down from Tolono towards Pisodum and Tuscola in particular. This new warning, an extension of the tornado warning for the storm near Atwood as it continues to move off to the north and east at 40 miles an hour. And that circulation very near Chicken Bristle to the north and west of Ficklin. That's where the big fertilizer factory is, to the north and west of there now. It will carry it in the direction perhaps close to Tuscola, but also to the north near Hayes Road. Villa Grove Road carries you off to the east. There's Pisodum. We need Pisodum in our storm shelters. This also further east on US 36 is going to include Camargo, Murdoch, and Newman. It does not include Broadlands or Allerton. It also does not include Homer. It will include Philo. We would request that Philo also heads to their shelter now because of this new tornado warning that goes in effect and will stay in effect until 6:30 as the storm warning for Champaign and Douglas County has just been issued. We've got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy on the road right now. I'd like to talk to him if we can, and we'll see what he's doing and where he's heading. Kevin's been watching these storms all day in the storm tracker. Kevin, tell us more of where you are and what you're seeing now.
All right, so yeah, making a big circle. Left Champaign at like noon and driving all across central Illinois. I'm back to Champaign, and I'm shooting south on I-57 right now to catch up with those storms that are going to be coming in to southern Champaign County, the tornado warned storms. So again, I am south on I-57 here, catching still some of that rain. I'm going to have to punch through that core here. Again, we want to try to get back out ahead of this, get down into Douglas County there on that Douglas Champaign County line, get down there near, like you said, Tolono, Pasodum, that area down there to see this storm, if it will continue to potentially produce that potential tornado there. So we're going to be hitting 57 south here, maybe try to jog a little bit to the east, maybe head over towards kind of the Philo area, but catching some traffic here as people are kind of doing the right thing, slowing down a little bit as they still kind of come through some of the heavier rain that is about to move through, but it's about to get a lot worse here on I-57 kind of south of Champaign. It is still coming down pretty good, especially between Savoy, Tolono. That tornadic circulation, again, that Jacob's been pointing out, located west of Tuscola, going to pass west of Tuscola, but there between Pasodum and Tuscola on I-57, you definitely need to be paying attention there as that storm comes out of the Atwood area, and we'll still continue to show the signs of rotation. So we're going to hopefully have a little better view here in just a little bit, and we'll let you know what we see once we get a little bit more to the south. Jacob, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We're watching, of course, the tornado warnings for parts of Champaign, Douglas, Piatt, and Moultrie counties. Some housekeeping notes. This does not include the city of Champaign-Urbana. This is southern Champaign County, but I do want to bring some photos full screen on Max 2 if we can. These are some photos from Chatsworth earlier today. This is a funnel cloud that touched down. We had these photos shared to us on our messenger, and as I zoom on in here, this is the part you can see some of the damage from Chatsworth. There may have been a tornado strike in Chatsworth based on what we're seeing here, some of the damage. The National Weather Service will be evaluating that. And you see there's large trees down. Also here, this is the photo that caught my eye. Looks like part of either a garage or a home was the walls knocked out. Whether that was a tree or something, that's a pretty strong sign of some damage in that area. Of course, pretty good indication that there may have been a tornado down in that area, if not at least some straight line winds in Chatsworth earlier today. Also, flooding rains have been a concern for that. That's something that we'll continue to watch here for a while. Back to the radar we go, and we can bring camera 1 up here. We're continuing to watch our tornado warnings in effect for Champaign, Douglas, Moultrie, and parts of Piatt County. This does not include Monticello either. Really, it doesn't even include Beamont. And I think at this point, we're darn close to being able to give an all clear for Atwood. Let me check real quick a feature on radar. We were watching the second circulation following it, and it still is in maybe there near Arthur, not as strong. I think the stronger circulation now over Chicken Bristle in northwestern Douglas County to the north and west of Tuscola. Still Tuscola, we'd like you to be in your shelter. That also includes Villa Grove, Camargo, Pasodum, and Philo. 130 from Philo to Villa Grove and Camargo. This will include Highway 45 through parts of Douglas County from Arcola and Tuscola. It does include Interstate 57, and it's going to include US 36 across Douglas County from Atwood all the way to the east towards Murdoch and Newman. This is what we continue to watch now. We bring you live team coverage here. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We've got Amelia Henderson in the studio. We've got Jack Griffin covering digital for us, and we've got Kevin in the storm tracker as we continue to watch this tornado warning, including parts of Champaign County at this point. And we have had no confirmation of any tornadoes down with this storm, but there is very much some indications of some high winds as well, and keeping an eye on things. Some viewers reporting high winds and rain in the area, and that's what we expect. Many of you in Champaign did get the notice on your WCIA 3 weather app for the tornado warning. That's because the app goes by counties, and it's a great way to let you know that, yes, while Champaign County does have a tornado warning, it's for Pasodum, Philo, down towards areas to the south and west of Broadlands, on your way to Broadlands and Allerton. That's the part of the county we're concerned about, as that rotation now entering just to the north and west of Tuscola. It looks like it will cross Interstate 57 very near Pasodum, as well as very near Hayes Road, west of Villa Grove, north of Tuscola. But I still would be remiss. I still want to watch this feature down here near Arthur as it carries off to the north and east. Arcola, you're still under a warning. Tuscola, Camargo, and Newman, as we watch these storms move off to the north and east at 40 miles an hour, I should say. Here's an area-wide view. Still some strong storms now moving into southeastern Iroquois and northern Vermilion County near Hoopeston. We're concerned for straight-line winds. With that, there has been a storm that exhibited some weak rotation in Iroquois County. By now, it looks like that storm has now crossed into Benton County and is west of Fowler. So we won't worry about that storm anymore. We'll continue to watch in the Hoopeston area. I suspect that Hoopeston has seen some strong straight-line winds with this storm, and very much we'll see that area of rotation continue off to the from the earlier storm out of the area. So we'll just watch the straight line wind surge on through. But let me check real quick our velocity product to see if there's anything showing up in the Hoopeston area, just to make sure we're covering all of our bases here. Looks mainly like a straight line winds. I will mention that maybe there's some wind shear on the leading edge of that line now moving into Vermilion County, but mainly the focus for us has been with this storm now very near Pasodum. Crossing, it looks like close to Interstate 57 now, west of Hayes. There's Hayes Road. You take that on 45 to the east. You go over the Interstate 57, takes you into Villa Grove. This will include Philo. It includes areas from Tolono immediately south. It also includes Pasodum, Sedoris, and Ivesdale. You're in the clear from this tornado warning, not in that. Champaign-Urbana also in the clear. This probably will be the southeastern part of the county as this storm moves off towards Route 49 from Broadlands up towards Homer, and that's where we think that this may end up heading if we continue to see an extension of the warning there. If we can, I'd like to double box Storm Tracker and have me as well on here, and we may switch around with the double box from some of our sky cams just to make sure we're looking at everything and keeping all of the information flowing from these new tornado warnings that are in effect. And we'll continue to watch it here for a little while longer, at least until 6:30. The time now 6:12. This tornado warning includes southern Champaign, much of Douglas, Piatt County. I think we can give you the all clear. Moultrie County, give me a little bit longer if you're in Lovington or Sullivan. Really think that we're going to be okay in those areas. In fact, they just pulled the warning back. There's a narrow sliver of that warning. They're watching also this area of circulation that's developing here. Arthur, Chesterville, Arcola, Bourbon. There's Tuscola. Camargo is there. There's Villa Grove. This is now moving through the Chesterville area. Very big Amish community in that part of the world. Of course, Arthur has Yoder's, the great restaurant there. Arcola, you get off the Interstate 57. There's the grain elevators and the silos at 133 and 45. Tuscola then on the west side of town, the cargo plant, and then the fertilizer factory on the east side of Tuscola. You head east on 36 towards Camargo, off towards Newman, and then you can go north from Camargo towards Villa Grove. That's where both of these storms seem to be heading here as we continue to watch it very closely. There we go with the double box. We've got the storm tracker on the left side. Kevin moving into position. And let me check and see if we have an update on his location. We'll check in with Kevin here shortly. Looks like he is right now heading down. Looks like he's on the side road. He may be on 45. Do we have any? Is Kevin able to tell us real quick where he's at by chance? The last update I have is he's still near Savoy. Kevin, tell us where you are and what you're seeing.
Yeah, I just got off 57, and now I'm cutting east here on just south of Willard Airport, and I'm going to try to get out ahead of this, maybe head towards the Philo area. But I did just get a notification on my Pulse Point app, talked about a rescue going on down in Tolono, so I might head that way too here and head south here. We'll see what that's about, because there's a pretty good little storm that obviously just came through Tolono. I don't know if that means maybe some power lines down or something, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is just kind of get back out ahead of this. I'm about to punch the core on this. We go right in the middle of this thing. So I'm actually heading towards Philo here, but if I turn right up here, I'd go down into Tolono. Maybe I'll try to do that. Go down to Tolono and then kind of catch this line as it's coming through, but it's about to get really heavy here. So I guess I'll get back on 45 here and head into Tolono and see what we can see. But it looks like we've got some more activity here. New warning coming in here. I'll let you, well, it looks like that's going to be out there into Indiana, so I think we're good there. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just shoot south here on 45. We'll see what we see as we come into Tolono.
All right, thanks, Kevin, for that report. It looks like you're coming on 45 now. We'll be dropping to the south. He'll be heading in that direction here. We've got news crews that are looking into it. The latest report at 6:09, funnel cloud was reported near Tolono. A train spotter reported that. It was relayed by emergency management. The storm itself does still seem like it's closer to Pasodum, but each one of these little cells here, that little batch and this little batch, so especially this one over Pasodum now, and especially this one now to the west of Tuscola. I kept referring to the fertilizer plant, where all the chemical plants are. Wrong word there, to the west of Tuscola. If you know what I'm talking about, all those factories that are out there in the Thicklin neighborhood, west on 36, about 4 miles. That's about where this next circulation is down the line from that. And then, of course, we're watching this other circulation really starting to wrap up a bit near Chesterville between Arcola and Arthur on 133 as it carries off to the north and to the east. Tuscola, the first one, looks like it's going to slip on by you, but the second one may be a much closer to your area. So stay in your shelter Tuscola, stay in your shelter Arcola and Bourbon. Atwood will give you the all clear. Arthur proper to the west of Arthur will give you the all clear. If you have a Moultrie County address, we'll give you the all clear. Now primarily focused with our circulations in Douglas County and southern Champaign County with these two warnings that go until 6:30 tonight. It is 6:16. The news right now is weather. We're in the newscast. We're not having a newscast. Jamie Mays is here on standby. I have a feeling we'll be blowing out the newscast for the severe weather. If you want some of your stories and updates, we'll have that at 9 and 10. And we'll have a recap of the severe weather, too, as these storms finally exit. The storm warnings, though, real quick, checking into Vermilion County and checking into Iroquois County, severe thunderstorm warning there. And that storm is expected to move out. The National Weather Service just let us know in Benton County near Fowler and Earl Park, they actually may issue a tornado warning. That will not include Iroquois County. Iroquois County remains under a severe thunderstorm warning. The northern part of Vermilion County also under a severe thunderstorm warning. That main leading batch of wind now through Hoopeston, but still would expect wind and heavy rain from Rossville to Armstrong, Potomac, north of Collison. Bismarck and Henning sits there. There's Rankin in the all clear, but this line of storms will bring heavy rain and gusty winds to that part of Vermilion County here over the next little bit, and we'll continue to watch that. I will, though, given how today has gone with all of these little circulations, we're going to use our velocity product to look for individual little spots of spin up in Vermilion County. And we're going to look at it from 3 different angles here. Nothing immediately concerning at this point. Perhaps maybe right here west of Rossville, southwest of Hoopeston, that might be a spot I want to watch moving forth based on what I'm seeing, but I don't have any imminent concerns at this time. It looks like here north of St. Joe, maybe something weak there, but the big concern really for us at this point seems like it's going to be down by Philo now, a new circulation now passing Pasodum, trying to get going there. That's not the main one, but Philo very close to seeing that. We asked Philo to be in their shelters because of the severe weather that's impacting that area as the tornado warning did cover that. Really, though, I think our main area of rotation now is northwest of Tuscola. It'll cross north of Tuscola on US 45 between Tuscola and Hayes, and it will cross Interstate 57 close to the Douglas-Champaign County line, very close to Pasodum, we think, although there's another circulation right here. We got circulations all over the place with these storms, and we're going to continue to watch them. Let's just mark them out for you here real quick. There's a very weak one right there towards Philo. The main event seems to be right here now over Pasodum. Another one then north and west of Tuscola. And perhaps another one maybe trying to get going south of Tuscola. These storms are really taking advantage of some of that wind shear in there and may continue to do that. So at this point, if you're in that tornado warning polygon, we ask you to stay in your shelter. Remember, in, down, and up. Inside, most interior room of your home, many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. Down as low as you can. A basement, a crawl space, a bathtub, great places to go. And then covering up with pillows, blankets, a mattress, grabbing some bicycle helmets and protecting your head. All important for this year, as these little areas of shear giving us some problems, but perhaps the main circulation I'm watching near Pesodum, north of Tuscola, and another one then west of Arcola. That one continues on its north and eastward track at 40 miles an hour. We're going to find out real quick here what we expect as far as the warnings go, as it's 6:20 right now. Both of these warnings do go until 6:30. Meteorologist Jack Griffin and Amelia Henderson have been behind the scenes working on things, and we're watching for your viewer photos and your reports now. We appreciate all of those. If you do have a report, you can... if you do want to send us a report, you can do so either in the chat, give us a text report. I'm watching the chat overlay right now on our digital platforms, Facebook and Twitter. But you also can email us photos to news@wcia.com, or you can also send those photos to us on Facebook. Just click the messenger button on Facebook, send them our way if you have any photos into the area as we continue to watch here this tornado warning now for southern Champaign and much of Douglas County. The storms now lining themselves up from about 3 miles west of Arcola into Tuscola, up towards Pesodum and Philo. At this point, more storms to the north and to the east. It looks like it will stay south of Savoy, south of Champaign-Urbana. Not worried, Champaign-Urbana all clear. Savoy all clear. Tolono, you're right there. Looks like at this point, areas from Tolono proper and points to the south and west is where we'll see this. Also Philo points to the north, not included in that tornado warning, but if you have a Philo zip code, I encourage you to shelter. Pesodum, zip code, same thing. Illinois 130 from Villa Grove to Philo. The pumpkin patch that's very popular out there near Philo is in the path of this. There's Longview. We haven't said Longview much. It may stay north and west of you at least this initial round, but the next round down the line here, down by Tuscola and even down by Arcola, may be of a concern for us as we start their eastward trek, more the north and east of anything across the region. It is 6:21 right now. We're watching WCIA 3 News at 6 o'clock. Of course, the news is weather. We've got the full team watching things for you. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy for another update. I know he's working through the rain right now. I can see his video there. Unfortunately, now we don't have any good sky cams. We'll take a look at the Mattoon camera in a bit. But Kevin, you're seeing a lot of rain today so far. Where are you at, and what are you expecting here moving forward?
Man, a lot of heavy rainfall. I am between Tolono and Pesodum. I'm a couple miles just north of Pesodum. Just got absolutely hammered with the heavy rain. Here, as you can see, the person in front of me slowing down. We're going about 40 miles an hour because of how heavy the rain is. But there are those little circulations that are really close to us here. I'm going to try to get east. I'm going to try to get to Pesodum, and I'm going to head east there just past town and head east there and try to get ahead and see if we can get a little bit clearer view, because the radar continues to show those little circulations there, those red and green areas. But man, I literally just passed through probably one of those, and it was pretty intense there. Very strong winds that passed there just south of Tolono and close to Pesodum. I've not seen any damage or anything, but again, this storm literally just came through. So as I try to get back to the east of this, I'm going to head maybe towards the Longview area, the Broadlands area, try to get ahead of it again, and then look off to the west and see what we see. But there is a little bit down there south of Bourbon, or I should say south of Tuscola in the Bourbon area, those reds and greens kind of coming together a little bit more. So we'll have to watch that area as well. So heavy rain, man. This has not been fun to drive in all day. So we've been doing it all afternoon, and just torrential downpours and flooding rains and big issues out there after we've already seen quite a bit of rainfall. So, all right, that'll do it for now. We'll send it back to you. We'll try to get ahead of this, maybe get into the dry slot here, look back to the south and west, and maybe have a little bit better view of the structure of the storm and see if we can see any rotation ourselves. But for now, we're going to send it back to you in the studio as we continue to travel down the road here as we come into Pesodum as our severe weather coverage continues. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Just some notes for you. You can either head east on Adams Street through Pasodum, or when you drive south to the south side of town by the state police headquarters, there's a straight east road that takes you all the way to the east towards Longview and Broadlands. A real smooth blacktop there. And so there's just some tips for you. I think you're going to miss that first little circulation that's blown through Pasodum, but maybe the stronger circulation trying to show up now south and west of Tuscola. Here we go. You see that backwards J shape here, and that may be the one, Kevin, I think you're going to have a better chance on getting on as that continues to push off to the north and to the east here. We'll watch it closely. The new severe thunderstorm warning just came in. My weather radio is probably going to go off. Your NOAA weather radio about to go off. Your WCIA 3 weather app in parts of Douglas. There it is. In parts of Douglas and in Vermilion and southern Champaign and I believe Edgar County just got issued with that. We'll cover the severe thunderstorm warning in a minute. But this area of circulation now is about 3 miles southwest of Tuscola that has my eye here. You can see this inflow notch right there, and that's really where the city of Tuscola is. It's coming up Highway 45 and Interstate 57. Tuscola, of course, is home to the big shopping mart. Everyone loves to go there for the big discount deals and whatnot. That's a place many people are familiar with. The Big Red Barn as well. You can see the buffet there in Tuscola, the side of the interstate if you drive on by. And of course, then you take 36 to the east towards Camargo, Villa Grove, Murdoch, Longview. We're here primarily because of you. Northwestern Douglas County, there's a neighborhood up there called Chicken Bristle. You're in the clear at this point. West of Ficklin, west of the big chemical plants that are all west of Tuscola, west of there is in the clear. Still, though, those chemical plants should be taking their tornado precautions. Atwood, you're clear. At this point, Bourbon, I'd like to get another minute or two before we have you be clear. That's the same for Chesterville. Arthurville, you are all clear in Arthur. And areas to the south will continue to watch this particular spot with that indication of the inflow notch right here, though. A good sign that there is at least some rotation aloft, just about 3 to 4 miles to the south of Tuscola. And I'll show you that real quick on our storm relative velocity. You can see some of those greens and reds right in there. That green, an indication of some strong inflow winds that taking advantage of some of the instability that's in place. Of course, then over Tuscola, we need Tuscola in shelter. That other area of rotation at this point, and I'm just checking the update for the National Weather Service. Their update continues to watch that, but also a brief area of circulation now just to the south and east of Pasodum. Another one now getting ready to cross 130 south of Philo, by about 5 miles or so as we watch this storms with some wind shear in there. These two may be less impressive, but still concerning. It's the spot here that's southwest of Tuscola I'm most interested in at this point as these storms move off to the north and east. Your eye really drawn to some of those bright greens, that really strong inflow coming into the storm here, helping for some of it to spin up at least enough to have this tornado warning until 6:30 here in central Illinois. So far today, the damage reports have been light. We know Chatsworth did have some damage. There was some structural damage and some tree damage there from either strong straight line winds or perhaps a tornado. That will be up to the National Weather Service to assess. We do have some reports of trees down in Champaign-Urbana, trees down in other spots across the region. That's been a problem for many of the tree damage from these storms. Something else to mention, there is a report of power out in Hoopeston. Let's go show a little love to our friends in Vermilion County. And as we do so, we'll talk about this new severe thunderstorm warning as well. The new severe thunderstorm warning is for areas along and ahead of this line here. So Champaign-Urbana, we're done for the night. Sedoris, Ivesdale, finished. Rantoul, no problems. Fisher, it'll be a quiet night ahead for us here. It's areas from Ogden, Homer Lake, St. Joseph to the south end towards Philo, Allerton, Broadlands, Longview, the old ABL School District, now Heritage School District, Georgetown, Danville, and ahead of this line from Bismarck, Henning to Collison, and areas then from Hoopeston, south and east, and then northern Edgar County now, US 36 all the way from Newman to Chrisman in the path there. Chrisman last weekend took some big damage from trees that came down from straight line winds. This is for a severe thunderstorm warning. The thing to note about this, though, and I'll pull up the warning polygon, we'll probably get a couple of them on here. With this polygon that includes parts of Edgar, Douglas, Champaign, and lots of Vermilion County. This right here, the tag tornado possible, is used to assess things here into the region. And that tornado possible tag is used when the rotation not imminent, but it's being monitored closely. Think of it as a watch to the warning. It's that step before, like, hey, heads up, we're watching some rotation, not immediately likely. You hear us talk about tornado possible tag, and that's what this is here across the region. All right, let's hit the reset button real quick and talk about what we're seeing here. It is 6:29. I have no indication from the National Weather Service on what their plans are with the tornado warning. It still does look fairly ominous near Tuscola and near Pasota. What we'll do is if we run out of warnings here, there's no more tornado warnings, we will send it back to regular coverage, but we are on our digital platforms and we'll stay there until these storms exit the area, and like this time, we'll bounce back in if need be, but we're going to wait and see what they do. Both of those warnings have just expired, but I'll wait for the word from the National Weather Service in their chat that they are letting them go. They normally tell us that, and that's very helpful for us here. But still, the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for areas from Tuscola towards Philo and Homer, St. Joseph, Ogden, off towards Bismarck, Henning, and Hoopeston, and points to the south and east in Vermilion County, northern Edgar, and parts of Douglas County here into the region. Let's do this real quick. Let's get one last check-in. If we have Kevin, it looks like maybe his signal's a little degraded there. We probably can at least hear him and try and take his signal. Kevin, if you don't mind, I'd like to have you talk real quick. I'm going to ask some questions and get some more information, and then we'll see what our next step is here on the show.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me okay or not, but we are coming into, we are continuing to travel. We're coming into the Longview area. I'm just about to get ahead of this line. You can see ahead of me is going to be the leading edge of this. I'm going to be just north of Villa Grove, actually. I'm heading towards Longview, and you can see in front of me the sky here. And when we get ahead of this, you'll see that typical shelf cloud. But I'm looking off here to my sides, low cloud base with some of these storms, but we are positioned almost right where some of that light rotation is located. And I'm seeing some of it here off to my left, just some very small rotation with some of the clouds here. Again, we are coming here just north of Villa Grove. We're going to be coming up to the stop sign here, and we're coming into some of the trees. So I know we're going to lose a little bit of signal here, but this is going to be 1:30, of course. But we're going to east to get ahead of this, and we're coming up to 1:30 here. That, of course, is comes from Villa Grove, down Camargo, then up to Philo eventually. So looks like some other people going in the same direction that I'm heading. I hope they know they're about to get hit by a pretty good little storm, because that's what we're about to see here. So we should be get out ahead of this, and I turn our cameras back to the west. We should have a pretty good view, especially that storm that's coming in from Villa Grove, and where we had some of that rotation, some of that best reds and greens on the radar that we were looking at that looked pretty decent. So we're going to continue to monitor all of this here and keep you up to date, and we'll probably swing the camera around here in just a little bit and show you what it looks like, because we're still kind of right on that leading edge of some of the rain. Very strong gusty winds, 60-mile-an-hour winds possible with this as it moves through. So we're going to continue to watch things.
All right, it looks like we lost Kevin, and we'll get back
today.
to... Okay, there he is, wrapping up. So Kevin's moving to the east, then towards Villa Grove. And that's important. Thank you, Kevin. Just some notes here for housekeeping purposes. The tornado warnings have been allowed to expire and will stay expired. And that's going to be the case here as we watch these storms continue to push off to the north and east. I'll show you here. We're going to watch each one of these sections very closely. So I would stay weather aware if you're under this severe thunderstorm warning, because there are some weak areas of shear that continue to hang in there like a hair in a biscuit and won't go away. And until they do, we're going to continue our coverage on digital, but we will be dropping from TV here momentarily to go to regularly scheduled programming. I'll give you some time if you're in Vermilion County and you're in northern Edgar, parts of Douglas County, southeastern Champaign County. I'll give you some time to jump on over to Facebook or Twitter or other places like that before we wrap this coverage up. And then again, one last update, a new severe thunderstorm warning did, let me rephrase that. We just continued this severe thunderstorm warning for far southeastern Iroquois County. We're using that tornado possible tag to identify on this entire line of storms that there is some weak rotation in spots, and we will monitor for any strengthening of that closely. If that happens, we'll jump right back here on TV and keep you updated. We'll also also be continuing on our digital platforms. At this time, the tornado warnings have been dropped in favor of severe thunderstorm warnings with a tornado possible tag for the area. And since we didn't get the newscast in, I will mention real fast also, there is a flash flood watch that continues. We've got lots of problems with flooding in the area. Flash flood warnings are in effect for much of the region here along the Interstate 55 corridor from Lincoln to Bloomington, from Gibson City to Pontiac, and up to the north towards Ashcombe and Piper City. Last check is the McLean County has been hard hit again. They got hit big time last night by flash flooding. They're getting problems again. The EMA reports that Interstate 74 is covered in water near Downs, south of the Central Illinois Airport. Interstate 55 is closed in Payne, Douglas, and Edgar County. And that's what they're saying here in the chat. There was a little bit of a clerical error, but for most of Central Illinois, we are winding down and transitioning out of this event. If you're wanting to know more in Champaign, Vermilion, Douglas, and Edgar counties as these storms exit the region, we will join us on digital platforms. You can join us there right now. In the meantime, though, we will be sending things back to your regularly scheduled programming here in a second. What we'll do is tonight on WCIA 3 News at 10 o'clock, we'll have more updates for you then. All right, we're back on our digital platforms here covering these storms, and a number of reports of some damage in the area, of course, from these storms earlier. We blew out the 6 o'clock newscast, and sometimes that happens, but we continue to be here because of the severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm optimistic that 7 o'clock time frame seems like it's going to work out pretty well here. The severe thunderstorm warning goes until, let me just pull up the warning data real quick. And boy, every time I hear that sound, I gotta have nightmares about that. As I check out here this severe thunderstorm warning, the warning goes until 7:45. It's 6:36 right now, and so we may have a very localized severe threat for parts of Edgar and Vermilion County that continue on through. But this line of storms here does have some straight line winds, perhaps some gusty winds as well along it in spots, but also a little bit of rotation in places here. And that's why they've gone with the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag. Let's get right down and dirty into the details on this. This leading edge of storms now is now east of Interstate 57. If you live west of 57 in Douglas County here, west of 57 in Douglas County and in Champaign County, we can give you an all clear at this point. And we'll keep our eye on storms further downstream. That backward C shape, though, an indication that the storms are beginning to surge outward a little bit. And when that happens, you'll see the wind surge here. Sometimes you can get a little circulation. That's what spun up here down by Atwood and Arthur earlier. Now just severe thunderstorm warning. The storm now near Broadlands, near Newman, heading towards areas along the north of Oakland. The line of storms itself crossing Homer now. That's where actually meteorologist Jack Griffin is. I just saw a text from him. He is in Homer watching things, and he's probably booking it a little more to the south and to the east. Chrisman and Georgetown, Danville, and Bismarck still have not had the round of storms move on through, but areas out to the west will give it a nice all clear. That all clear is going to go now for Shelbyville, Decatur, Sullivan, I even think Pana, Springfield, Lincoln, Bloomington, Champaign-Urbana, up to the north end, much of Fort Iroquois, Livingston County, all clear. It's just this last little sliver towards the state line that's giving us some headaches here as it continues to push off to the east. That leading edge, though, maybe in my mind, the leading edge of wind coming here on 36 east of Tuscola towards Newman, Broadlands, Allerton, and parts of southeastern Champaign County here into the region. So we're going to watch all of these areas closely just to monitor things, but at least we don't have any tornado warnings at this point. If we do, we'll be cutting back into TV, and of course we'll cover that. I'm not optimistic that's going to be the case for us here across the region. So again, there's that leading edge in Tuscola to the east there. This then is the leading edge in southeastern Champaign County. Here's Highway 49 from Broadlands up towards Homer. Then the leading edge looks like it's from near Homer, and that says Homer Lake. That's the lake there on the northwest side of town. And then Okay, so there's an update to the text here. I'll show you that in a minute. Then down to areas Philo, we're going to give you an all clear. Tolono and Pasodum, an all clear. This is mainly now from Villa Grove, Broadlands, Allerton, Longview, Homer, then into Vermilion County. Next in line, Fairmount and Sidell will be the concern for us here into the region as we watch these storms continue on their eastward track. There was an update that did come in. I'd mentioned that little clerical error here. This tornado watch has been extended until 9 o'clock tonight, and that's going to be for some of our counties in central Illinois. So I'll make the update to the graphic. Although I don't expect it to last until 9. Really here until we get this line to the state line. Then it's no longer going to be a concern, but that was updated to 9 o'clock for these counties. Really, I think at this point, Moultrie County, Shelby County, looking like we're more clear than not. There is a sliver down by Stewardson, Strasburg that we'll watch. We also did actually add Coles, Cumberland, and Edgar County to that tornado watch. That was just added moments ago. A couple of new counties coming in and out, of course, on TV. We're watching that go on the bottom of our screen. If I can, I'd like to take Kevin now and talk to Kevin about what he's seeing as he continues to march back and forth through these storms and continues to monitor things. Kevin's in the storm tracker. Tell us where you are and what you're seeing, Kevin.
All right, I am coming into the Broadlands area right now. We're looking at the storm here that is right behind me. It's about to come right in my direction. But we are in the Broadlands area, going to be coming into Allerton here before too long, and just kind of watching this storm. Some pretty impressive cloud structures and whatnot is kind of what we're seeing. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. General thunderstorms, we've seen them all afternoon, and as we come in here, what I'll do is we can pull over and take another little view, so bear with me here, and I'm going to show you what it looks like here from our camera view. This is going to be looking just off to our north. As you can see, a little bit more ominous view there of the storms. So that's going to be looking up towards the Homer and Sydney area, where I think you said that Jack was located. So that is the northern part of this. But then we've also got, you can see those low hanging clouds there, and some of the motion in the clouds as I kind of just pull around here. And we're also keeping an eye on the storm that is that's been to our south and west. That's had some of that little rotation on it. It's pretty weak down there near Longview, but it is continuing to move off to the east. So again, we're just kind of watching the storms. We try to stay ahead of them as best as we can. We'll come up here and do another little turnaround, but you can see that again, these storms are still packing a pretty good punch, maybe having those 60-mile-an-hour winds, but you can see how low those clouds are to the ground. And I don't see any rotation with them, but definitely some really gusty winds as you get on the leading edge of this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around, and we'll have more coming up here following along with this storm. I got to get back ahead of it before it gets me once again. So we'll send it back to you.
Get my audio back on. There we go. Thanks for that, Kevin, and your report. We're going to leave your stream up just so we can watch it there. And I'm just passing on some news to the newsroom to take a look at things. This is coming from Springfield in the Skyline subdivision in town. That's where there was a concentrated area of damage. And I want to see, earlier we had that circulation very close to Springfield. And so what I'm going to do is I just kind of personally want to go back and look at that. Hang on a second here. We're just getting this fixed up. What's going on? Skyline subdivision. All right, so just for news, where in the back there's reports of tree lines down, uprooted trees in the Skyline subdivision, just southeast of Capitol Airport. That's actually where our air circulation quickly ramped up in parts of Springfield, and so we'll watch those areas and on it for that. But in the meantime, we still do have these warnings in the area. One question I saw in our digital is, why are we not covering these storms? They're coming into Villa Grove. And that's a fair question here. We're not on TV because we do not have an active tornado warning in effect. We do, though, think that there still is at least some strong straight-line winds coming into Villa Grove and passing through there. and towards Broadlands. So that's something we'll continue to watch. Amelia, just so you know, for housekeeping purposes, we did extend the tornado watch for 9 o'clock. I got a post out on that. Ford, Iroquois, and Livingston counties have been dropped from that tornado watch now. It's now just some of these counties you see here: Champaign, Vermilion, Douglas, Coles, Edgar, Cumberland. Coles, Edgar, Cumberland got added late to the game here because of this line of storms, but that's very much what we continue to expect and see here through the day. This little batch of storms, we got to get it out to the state line. Once we get it to the state line, finally I still got to have some lunch here across the region, but we'll continue to be here for you with...
We don't eat here.
It's been a long day. This is almost
hours.
6 hours. Six
Morning.
hours of coverage.
Yeah.
That's all right. So some damage in Chatsworth, we know of that. We know of other damage in the area. We've got photos and reports and more. We're going to have full updates on that at WCIA 3 News at 9 and 10 o'clock. Going to be a weather-heavy show. That's going to be the story for us here. Did have a number of funnel cloud reports as well in the area, but our main focus here at this point: Tuscola, Arcola, you're all clear. Villa Grove, all clear. It's still going to be gusty, but the leading edge of storms continues off to the east here. Here sits Broadlands. There sits Allerton at the Illinois 49 curve. Seidel is over here. Archie sits to the south and east. There's Jamaica. Jamaica High School is right there. Up to the north end, you've got Fairmount and Homer. This batch of gusty winds now heading in that general direction. That's where my grandparents' farm is, to just south of Jamaica High School. This is heading in that direction as it continues to do so. Straight line winds, the main focus at this point. And I'm just checking with some folks behind the scenes real quick. So this little batch of storms is moving off to the north and to the east. Really what I expect, though, is this then heavy rain now in Homer, heavy rain down towards the Homer and down to the south then. If you're familiar with this area, Homer Road towards Fairmount. The Homer Lake sits north and west of town. There's a quarry right here. There's Oakwood. The old power plant along the Middle Fork River sits right here. Oakwood Middle School is north of town. Down to the south end, you've got Catlin right there. There's some old mines down here in the Georgetown area. This batch of wind is moving in that general direction and towards Danville. At this point, we also are watching this storm up by Bismarck and keeping a close eye on it. There was just a report from a spotter of 60-mile-per-hour winds 2 miles west of Bismarck. And let me look at this closely here. And I'm just going to pull up the velocity to see if we see anything. We'll get as many different vantage points as we can from it to make sure nothing's trying to spin up. I don't think that's the case, but I do expect at least some strong straight line winds into the area. Quick check. Amelia, is Lauren still back there or is she gone?
She is.
She is? Okay. Yes. If you don't mind, I'd like to have you just kind of take over for a little bit. I'm going to talk to Lauren about some housekeeping and some notes for the shows tonight as we wind things down. And so we're going to let you jump on in here and just talk a little bit about it.
Hello, everyone. I've been behind the scenes for the majority of the day here. We're going on now almost 6 hours of severe weather coverage. So we've been working hard here. We've had, of course, meteorologist Jacob Dickey. He has been the front runner of this. We've also had chief meteorologist out in the storm tracker there, Kevin Leidy, myself, and also Jack Gerfin. We've been behind the scenes updating you on social media. I popped on here a few times, but talking about social media and all of that, let's see if I can get some of these viewer photos that were sent in pulled up here. A main concern for today has been the flooding, so I'll talk about this one last time. The flash flood watch that still is in effect, that goes until tomorrow morning. We have been seeing quite a bit of rainfall coming down with these systems here, so there still is a flash flood watch. In fact, one of my friends here, looks like we may have Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy. All right, let's go ahead and send it to Kevin. What are you looking at here, Kevin?
All right, so we're looking, the storm is just coming in here. I am located right just east of the Broadlands area, between Broadlands and Allerton, and that storm is about to come right over the top of me here, and you can see there is a little bit of a lowering there. You can kind of see it far off. See where that flashing, some of the flashing light is there on that wind turbine. We're going to kind of keep a close eye on that here, but this storm literally about to come right over the top of me. We're going to get some really, really strong winds. I figured I'd just let you guys kind of watch this, because here in just a few minutes, this thing is going to overtake my position here. And we just figured we'd kind of keep an eye on this here, because, you know, it is a fairly strong storm that is coming in between Broadlands, Allerton, and the Seidel area. And I just figured, hey, let's just watch this thing come right over the top of us here, because we've got a pretty good little view of it right on the leading edge of this. Maybe even see some of those wind turbines kick up even a little bit more. But literally, instead of getting back ahead of this, I'm just going to let this thing kind of roll right over the top of me, and you'll get kind of a first-hand look at what that storm is going to be like as it moves in. You can kind of see the very low. Look how low the clouds are. These are really, really low clouds coming across the field here. And you can see the corn and beans and whatnot kind of waving around quite a bit as the wind picks up. But you're going to see the winds really ramp up in the next, I would say 90 seconds or so. But you see this kind of area here, we're kind of a little darker shaded area right there. We kind of keep a close eye on that in that location. And I know that it's kind of tough to see with the clouds here, with the contrast, but trying to give you guys just a little bit of an idea of what this storm is about to do. Let me see if I can switch to my other camera. There's a camera behind me, as you can see, and then here's our front-facing camera as this storm is about to roll right in. Pretty impressive view as this little shelf cloud kind of moves into the area. Again, I am south of Homer, east of the Broadlands area, and in the next few seconds, that rain is really going to start to come down heavy. And I'm probably going to have to turn on the windshield wipers here. You can see the dark cloud, the darkness there. That is all the precipitation that is just coming down very, very heavy off in the distance there. And as I mentioned, you can start to see some of the raindrops here kicking up on my windshield. And here it comes, the heavy rain, and those winds about to pick up here. I'm not seeing, you know, any rotation with this, but definitely a severe thunderstorm that is about to roll through. We're hoping that maybe things can continue to weaken a little bit here, but still a strong storm, at least for the time being. This is going to cross right over Highway 49 there from Allerton, and then work its way towards 150, Ridge Farm, Chrisman, Seidel here in the next few minutes or so to Hume and Newman. You're kind of next with this as well. So all along this line, you can see, here we go. So now it's getting, all right, here we go. There's the wind just starting to pick up. And I'm going to see if I can maybe try to gauge maybe just how strong the winds are. I'm in a good location because no power lines are around me or anything like that, but so we shouldn't have any big tall trees or anything. So that's why I'm in a good position to kind of show you guys this. So we'll move it over here to the left again, and then you can see where the sun is, or some of the clearing is located. But now those bands, those sheets of rain, those rain bands coming across, very, very heavy stuff. Just beginning to kind of move through the area. So I'll let you guys kind of take it. If you want to keep my shot up, feel free here, but we're about to have this thing pass over the top of us with the really strong winds, with this severe thunderstorm warning cell. And again, it seems like it may be weakening a little bit, seeing a little bit less of those reds, or at least kind of a skinnier line of those reds. But nonetheless, if you're underneath one of these, it seems to be a bad deal for you, of course. So we'll send it back to you for now, but here comes.
All right, so we're back
heavy
in
part
the
of
studio now. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the wind gusts. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy was just out in the field there, and you can see the storms have just hit where he is located. And of course, whenever that sound goes off, it gives me a little bit of a heart attack. We've been hearing this all evening long here, but there's a possible tornado. Of course, whenever there's severe thunderstorm warnings, there's always an attachment with the tornadoes there. But there is an extension of the tornado watch from, okay, that's not significant to our area. We have a National Weather Service chat here that we keep up to date with. So we still have the severe thunderstorm warning with an extension of a tornado possible with winds up to 60 miles per hour, penny-size hail, and that's for Champaign, Douglas, Edgar, and Vermilion counties. That goes until 7:45 here. Now, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy, he was just in the field talking about the winds that were associated with that big system that was just about to reach him there. But throughout the entirety of the day today, we have been seeing straight line winds that could have affected some crops. We have had reports of wind damage in certain areas, such as power outages and, of course, the trees being out as well. So as Kevin was mentioning, he was in a great position there, an open field. There wasn't any power lines close to him. There wasn't any large trees. So he was in a safe spot. For those of you who have been reaching out concerned about him driving, he knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a while now, but he's definitely staying safe. So let's go ahead and take a look at the storm tracker Doppler right now. So again, we still have the warnings here set until this is a severe thunderstorm warning for all of these areas here for Jasper, Benton counties, also for Champaign, Douglas, Edgar, and Vermilion counties as well. That goes with 60-mile-per-hour gusts of wind. That's a possibility. Of course, the hail is a big factor, but straight line winds are really going to be the biggest issue here, as well as the extreme amount of rain we have been seeing. So I will pull this up one last time as far as the tornado watches. Some areas have expired now. So the only areas that are still into this region are into Benton, Warren, Fountain, Vermilion Park, yes, I should say Warren there, Vermilion, Champaign, Douglas, Edgar, Coles, Moultrie, Shelby, and Cumberland are still into the tornado watch here. That goes until 9 p.m. So we did extend it just a little bit there for those areas, continuing to watch these systems roll through here. And with that, we still have the flash flood watch. So bringing up the graphics a little bit more here. For all of the areas in green, the areas that have expired out of this watch are now Warren, Fountain, Vermilion Park, Clark, Cumberland, Fayette, Effingham, Jasper, and Crawford. But even if you aren't in the flash flood watch, you still are probably dealing with a significant amount of rainfall here. So it has been rather dry throughout central Illinois. I know that some farmers have came up and talked to me about how, you know, they were in desperate need of some rainfall, maybe not wanting this much, especially with the straight line winds. Again, crops could have received some damage here with that. Now let me go ahead and try to pull up some viewer photos. This was, is this recent? I'm not going to show that. This is actually Jacob Dickey's, all of his graphics here. So I typically would be working off of mine, but Jacob Dickey has been the driver of today. We've just been called in on our days off here. Of course, we want to keep you updated. We'll keep you safe in any capacity that we can. So Jacob, you're just walking up now. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Storm Tracker Doppler one last time here. As of right now, we've been watching the National Weather Service chat. There hasn't been any updates as of right now. We still have it in Champaign, Douglas, Edgar, and Vermilion counties. That goes for another 50 minutes or so. It's looking to expire here around 7:45. But you can see this straight line of just storms, a huge band here stretching all the way. Let me go ahead and zoom in here from close to Vandalia along I-70, just north of I-70, and continues to travel along I-57 throughout many areas of central Illinois. And then as we travel, the further north we go, it does kind of shift towards the east there. So the system is continuing to push northeast with several areas of potential for some rotation there. We're looking at areas along I-41 right now, I-65 towards Carpenter. That's a little bit further north than the viewing area goes. But again, this is just a band of storms. The biggest factor is, of course, the rainfall and the gusting wind. So it will continue to keep you posted on all of that. Hey, Jacob, can you show me where I can you pull up your boxes real quick for me?
Yeah, so this right here,
That's
and then
the
you just
boxes.
zoom in on boxes.
There we go.
And actually, real quick, if you can, go ahead and click on velocity here in Lincoln. Let's look at that just to make sure.
Yep.
And that's actually a little bit old. So let's try the storm relative velocity. So something maybe. In fact, why don't we bring up the SkyCam and look at that too? Should be, okay, that's Champaign. So you can change that on source number 2 right there.
Let's go to Champaign.
Yeah, let's scroll up actually. So we need to click number 2 here, and then we'll click it to map soon, just to see what's going on down there. It's impressive in Champaign in the backside as storms are exiting. There's map 2, the rain and wind coming down now, and continuing to do so. That batch of storms coming on through. I'm going to let you keep driving. You did a great job.
Yeah, no worries. It looks like the road conditions are definitely a big factor here as well. With the amount of rainfall we have been seeing, of course, there's going to be a little bit of a buildup on some of the roadways there. So just keep that in mind. Take it slow. There's no need to rush with this amount of rainfall that is coming down here. Of course, you need to use your headlights. That's something that many people actually forget. When there is active weather, you need your headlights on. So be sure to do that. Keep your windshield wipers on in full force as well. Give yourself plenty of extra space in between cars and take it slow. Again, watch out for areas that have seen a little bit of a buildup. You need to watch out for hydroplaning. So just go maybe a little bit beneath the speed limit. No need to rush early this morning, or early, I'm talking like it's early in the morning here. That's what it feels like. I'm usually on the morning shift, so that's just a word I typically use. I'm here on the evening. It's pretty rare, but happy to be here.
It's been a while since you've been in the weekend.
It's been, oh man, it's been almost, 7 months since I've been. Jacob allowed me to get my weekends back, so he's my best friend. But we're going to go ahead and look at the boxes here once I zoom in towards the warnings here. If I can get that to be pulled up. Like I said, I am driving off of Jacob's graphics here, so typically would be on mine. There we go. That's blowing up. Okay, so there still is the severe thunderstorm warning for Champaign, Douglas, Edgar, and Vermilion counties. Potentially some hail associated with this system as well. We're thinking just maybe around a penny size, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That is still a major factor. So the straight line winds could be causing some damage. If you haven't seen so already. Now, the biggest threat, along with all of that, along with the hail and the winds, is they do have a factor for potentially a tornado to be a potential. Again, as I was saying, there is a little bit of some rotation here. I'll look at the velocity. So, as you can see, a little bit of some rotation in certain areas along this severe thunderstorm threat here. So we'll keep an eye on certain areas in Fairmount, potentially Newman as well, right along I-36 there. There's potential for that. So again, we'll keep an eye out for that. With this thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm threat that goes until 7:45 here, so still about 44 minutes left in this certain storm here. Now we'll go ahead and move up north just slightly. Champaign, Douglas, Edgar, Vermilion, same situation. Right along I-74, still seeing that stretch of thunderstorms pushing along I-74 as well. So let's take a look down further here. Let me go ahead and go to the weather cameras again. So in Mattoon, if you are in this area, this is what you can expect. Just a whole lot of rainfall. It's continuing to push northeast. But I have to stress yet again, the road conditions, they're not great. We've been seeing quite a bit of flooding here. So we still have this flash flood watch that goes until tomorrow morning for all of the areas labeled in green here. And I really want to pull up, for those of you in the back, I'm not sure, I don't have my, my earpiece in, but could we potentially pull up that viewer video that I had sent in from earlier? Is anyone back there? We don't have anyone there. So we'll show that to you probably in the 9 o'clock newscast or in the 10 o'clock newscast if Jacob does want to show you that. But here's a viewer photo that was sent in a little bit earlier. This is from Interstate 55 near Funk's Grove. Closed indefinitely, as you could probably guess. You do not want to drive on that road. There was some damage from the flooding there. That was southwest of Bloomington. And actually, the viewer photos that was sent in to me earlier and also some video there, it was of a basement flooding near Bloomington as well. So quite a bit of damage there as far as water in certain areas. Again, this is one region that experienced quite a bit of flooding there, which is why the roadways might take a little bit longer to repair that. And hopefully that there aren't quite as many issues in the surrounding areas. But that is definitely some reports we have seen. Let me try to pull up some other viewer photos. Jacob, was this recent?
I'm not sure what we're looking at here. This tornado photo?
Yes.
This was yesterday, last night.
Yesterday. Okay.
We had one report of a tornado near Chatsworth from all indications are, and that is it. The other photo is going to be photo 3, and I don't think I have it in this show. Actually, there it is.
That was
The other problem is going to be the flooding. I mean, you look at the Interstate 55 there, it doesn't take an engineer to say, hey, that's going to be a problem for us.
Probably wouldn't want to drive down that road.
Yeah, it's going to be a big problem for things.
I had a few other viewer photos, but they were in our other show, but that's okay. We'll show them here in a little bit. But
yeah, and we're going to aggregate all of these photos too. There's been tons of them that have come on in, and we're going to get them all on our website, WCIA.com soon. Of course, now we're kind of wrapping our heads around things and, I don't know, maybe ordering some pizza or something behind the scenes.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Let's go back to radar real quick. And if you want, Amelia, I'll take back over here for a little bit. And if you want, on the desktop there, on the computer on the right side, we really need to start going through photos and saving the locations and names of people. So if you want to do that from your account and as well as from the news account on Messenger, doing that on desktop will really allow us. Just make sure you save the file name as, the person's name, first and last, and the location. And that'll help us with when we need to pull some for the shows tonight, those viewer photos. This is a severe thunderstorm warning still for Vermilion County primarily. We're darn close to being all clear for most of Douglas County, albeit areas by Oakland and Newman still likely to get some rain and storms. And then, of course, here by Mattoon, an indication of some strong winds that are pushing off to the east and northeast towards Charleston. We showed you that Mattoon camera moments ago. So I'm just getting some other information behind the scenes there. This is Mattoon now. It looks like the rain has let up a little bit as the worst of the storm has pushed off to the east. And that may be good for many of us to finally get these storms out. We may get some nice rainbow photos here before all is said and done. Still, though, as this batch of storms exits, the flash flood warning continues through at least Sunday morning. I tell you what, I haven't had a chance to look at the forecast, but I do know more rounds of storms expected into tomorrow, and some of those could be strong to severe into the region. And that's very much what we're going to watch here and keep an eye on. I don't have any concern for tornadoes at this point, but we did get a new severe thunderstorm watch for some of our Indiana counties. Those pink counties showing on in. That is out of our area. We aren't going to be too worried about it. Really think that the tornado threat waning pretty significantly at this point. Yes, there'll be maybe some areas of look-alike rotation and maybe some wind shear there and things spinning around in the region. But overall, I'm not overly concerned at this point of any obvious signatures that really scream danger to me at this point. And even just looking down the line, we'll watch each one of these storms closely and carefully, but it seems like for the most part, just a straight line wind threat. And there will be some strong winds now here as we see some of those winds filling on in near let's see, this is going to be near Allerton and off east towards Sidell, up towards Jamaica. More strong winds then into parts of northern Vermilion County. Danville next in line for this. Let's go ahead and take our Danville camera. We know the fair is going on there. I got a cool photo that I shared on social media from the area there. And let me pop that sky cam up so we can take a look at it here. There we are looking off to the west, an ominous sky, a very stormy looking sky, although the storms are not nearly as strong as they once were. Still, though, you'll get some strong straight line winds. Again, I don't see anything that is concerning enough for tornado or anything like that right now. That's good news. And I think at this point, that may be the case for the rest of the night here, as we've had quite an active day with lots of warnings and even some reports of damage that are starting to trickle into the newsroom. So we'll keep an update on that, keep watching it. Primarily at this point, I think we're here for Danville and surrounding areas, parts of southern Vermilion County. Little Cell near Bismarck Henning does have some strong winds, but that line here just not nearly as impressive as it was earlier. Still, yeah, there's some little kinks in there, and maybe something tries and spin up, but I really think at this point, straight line winds from Newman to Indianola up towards, let's see, that's going to be Oakwood and into areas north of Danville. 50 to 60 mile an hour winds could be possible here into the region. We'll watch it very closely and keep an update on that. So that's for Vermilion County. We got northern Edgar County on the list too. Most of Douglas County, I think, is in the clear. There is some heavy rain, though, in Humboldt area. And I will pop back the camera, and I'll control that on mine. And we're going to look at the Charleston camera. The Mattoon camera looks west. The Charleston camera looks more north. We may not get too much of a signature at this point from that. Let me pull that camera here. Here we go. Got that finally. There we go. That's quite an ominous, spooky view of those storms. You know, you can see that leading edge, almost that line of clouds in the sky. That's the straight line winds that are coming into town. And underneath it, a lot of scud clouds, very low in nature, a lot of motion in them, but there's not anything at this point on radar that makes me concerned. And looking into Coles County, the storm's still in the Mattoon area, but they're pushing out to the north and east away from it. There may be some more storms down the line, though. And you see here, west of Neoga, Cowden, Herrick, Strasburg, Stewartson, those areas we'll have to monitor very closely. And that's actually probably going to follow right into Mattoon. So while one storm's on the way out, more on the way. That's important to note here, kind of following like railroad tracks behind the batch of rain and storms. Boy, I'm running out of steam here. This is that look in Charleston right now, off to the north, and you can see those clouds. I mean, you kind of look on the left side of your screen. It looks very ominous. There's definitely some motion in the clouds, but there's nothing that really concerns me at this point of a major tornado threat. There's not even a warning in Coles County. So that's the case for us here as we continue to watch these storms move off. Again, winds will pick up, but at this point, my concern is growing less and less by the minute. And, you know, things are going to look nasty in eastern Douglas County, parts of Edgar County as well. So let me just update. Just checking here real quick. Okay, so yeah, we're just kind of behind the scenes and taking a look at things here and watching it. Wind picking up, it's gray sky in Danville. Why don't we just switch over to the Danville camera too? Another great view. I can't say enough about our first mid-bank Flooring America iNet camera in Charleston, and much the same even in Danville. Having that camera really gives us eyes. There's one of Kevin, but there's about 12 of these cameras, and we'll check back in with Kevin soon. A very gray sky here, but there's not really anything from this vantage point. You know, you kind of see on the right side of the screen, a lot of those detached clouds, they'll swirl and move around and look ominous and, you know, maybe give you the impression that something will continue to spin up and be weird. But I don't think that's going to be too much of a concern at this point for us. I think really things are starting to gust out, and that's with the lack of instability that continues off to the north and to the east here into the region. I did just see some photos that Jack Griffin tweeted. I retweeted those. Thanks, Jack, for that. And we've got Kevin out in the field. He looks like he's coming in and out, and I can't quite tell. He's on 150. Looks like he's coming to the south side of Ogden, if I recognize that. Or is that Oakwood? That might be Oakwood. Nope, that's Ogden. Is that the pink house on the left there? That is the pink house, I think. Are we able to talk to Kevin at all? Is he available to chat maybe? I'm pretty sure he's in Ogden, just from looking at far away. All right, so we'll just check in with Kevin real quick, and maybe his shot's coming in and out. I'll be ready on standby just in case. Okay, his IFB is hung up. Okay, so Kevin's probably wrapped up for the night. He looks, I don't know if that's a stoplight there. That's Ogden. Yeah, he's coming through Ogden right now. Let's bring his shot full so we can let other folks watch it. Again, Kevin in the storm tracker now coming past Ogden. He's past the grade school there. And he'll be jumping on 74. I have a feeling he's going to jump on 74, and he's going to come back to the west here as these storms are exiting, and the concern continues to wane. The National Weather Service does still have the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of extreme eastern Douglas, northern Edgar, and south and eastern Vermilion County till 7:45. That's a whole half an hour from now. And we'll likely stay here through that. But at this point, I think the severe threat is over. Yeah, he's crossing the bridge and heading west here. So Kevin will be wrapping up. That's why he's not with us at this point. Still Vermilion County, we're watching for you, and we're going to keep you updated and watch things and monitor pretty closely here for the next little bit. Let's talk more about some of these areas that we're watching these warnings in place. And we're going to have to babysit a lot the rest of the evening here. But I think at this point we'll be winding things down. Danville, you know, you look at the intensity of this batch of storms here, and it really isn't all that impressive. No more bright reds and not even seeing pinks here. And a lot of that wind is gusting out ahead of it. That gust front now up to 150 from Georgetown up into Danville. That's 150. Also Route 1 down by Tilton. Ooh, boy, I could use a burger from Tilton right now. You'll see here Sidell and a lot of rain there in Jamaica. Indianola sits here. Georgetown, Ridge Farm, Chrisman. And you can see that bend on back. And then this little batch here down by Newman. We'll continue to watch. You know, I mean, it's not all that impressive. Maybe the more impressive spot as we look here. Yeah, this storm is approaching the state line, and probably in the next half an hour, Danville, we'll be giving you all clear, if not sooner than that, as these storms are gusting out. And we could tell by the view on our camera that they are gusting out from that area. So we'll bring that camera back up and watch it closely. There's some reports of, you know, I really think at this point I would be surprised if we got a tornado warning in Vermilion County. That doesn't mean it won't happen. You know, I'm wrong 50% of the time, as some of you folks like to say. But the storm down here, maybe down by Mattoon, Charleston, and let me make sure I'm on the right radar here. Now north of Charleston towards Hinesboro, south and east of Arcola, Tuscola, Camargo. The day is over for you. This really now is going to be Humboldt, Bushton, Hinesboro. Some gusty winds and rain, some frequent lightning, more of the same than into southeastern Shelby County. The instability in the wind shear are starting to exit the area, and that's why these storms don't quite have the oomph that they used to. But we will look at velocity and just kind of scope them out. You'll notice here near Stewartson, away and towards, there's a weak circulation aloft here near Stewartson. Whether or not it warrants a tornado warning, probably not, but we'll watch and we'll keep you updated. Same thing here over Lake Mattoon, Lake Paradise, north of Neoga. Something weak trying there, but I'm not really enthusiastic about it. This little spot maybe does have my eye a little more on 130 north of Charleston, but I think it's trying to gust out. We'll look at the camera there closely. We use velocity, of course, to try and identify areas of spin. And I'm going to switch to the Indianapolis radar. It looks like right now from Indianola, Maystown, Jamaica, some strong straight line winds are coming into Georgetown very closely. Georgetown, Ridge Farm, and Westville. But it still seems like it's more of a straight line wind event. I don't have anything glaring. Maybe the one spot that looks the more impressive of all of them is going to be that situation signature, I should say, to the north of Charleston. So let's go ahead and pull up our Charleston camera, and I'm going to do that here on my computer, kind of babysitting these storms. Give me a second here. Losing my brain. We're going to get through it. We're going to get all the way there. There we go, looking north from Charleston. If we can bring this camera full screen, I'd like to talk a little bit about it, what we're seeing here. First off, a lot of scud clouds that are being tossed and torn around. And that's the case with these particular storms is, you know, they're detached and shredded, and they'll really whip and move around in the wind. You know, it looks ominous, but at this point, it seems like the threat for severe weather really not there in Coles County and waning quickly in parts of Vermilion County. I will say there's some straight line winds, and there's going to be some strong winds. I'm not saying there's not wind. I'm just saying the wind not severe with this at this point. And so that's what we're continuing to watch for the area. And so we're continuing to stay on digital with this. I don't expect there to be a tornado warning, but we continue to watch it on our digital platforms. We're watching it closely. Someone's like, we don't care when it gets past China. That's not the case. We just think at this point the storms are outrunning themselves and not really a threat. If they were a threat, don't worry, we'd be on. You know, and one day, boy, we've got folks saying, oh, we like to talk, and then we don't care about people. Got to have it one way or the other, folks, but that's all right. We continue to watch the storm now in Danville, right on Route 1. Now, take a look at that camera back in Danville, as I'll show you, is the shelf cloud in the leading area of that storm in Danville is past it, which is a sign that these are more outflow dominant in nature. And when that happens is that they often run out of steam and they really aren't able to rotate all that much. And so that's going to be what we expect here as the storm's really racing into Indiana. Shouldn't be really too much of a concern in Danville. Yeah, again, there's some straight line winds. I think the strongest wind signature is south of Danville, down by Tilton, Georgetown, Ridge Farm, Westville, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. There may be some gusts too. We'll see what the airport pumps out for us in a little bit. But that batch of storms will continue to monitor here for at least a little while longer. Let's throw up the double box if we have it. I can see it on story wall right. I kind of like that shot. Kevin's in the background. He's looking at the storms as he's driving back to Champaign. You know, they're just kind of gusty storms at this point. The severe threat continues to wane. Our cutoff really was about 11 o'clock. Our cutoff was about, 7 o'clock. Boy, if it was 11 o'clock. The cutoff time we set for severe weather, noon to 7. And this has been the case for us where we are watching these storms still in the area, but not nearly as strong. And we'll continue to monitor for some of these areas of rotation. But at this point, the intensity really continues to not look as impressive. Yeah, there's a bit of wind shear in the atmosphere, and there may be some brief transient circulations at times. The severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Douglas, northern Edgar, and eastern Vermilion County does have the tornado possible tag with it. And I think that's rightfully so out of an abundance of caution. But at this point, I think the threat continues to wane for those areas as that leading line of storms now pushing in through Danville and Georgetown. Maybe my most interesting feature is going to be the feature from Georgetown to Ridge Farm for some straight line winds. That's where radar has indicated some 60-mile-an-hour winds perhaps heading. And once it crosses Route 1, you get out to the Forest Glen Preserve and rural areas east of Route 1 towards the state line. Then you hit Vermilion County, Indiana. There on 36 and from Tuscola to the east, a couple of storms, and of course that storm north of Charleston that we continue to watch. While we've been talking, let me show you the severe alerts overall here. Those yellow counties are tornado watches. These pink counties, a severe thunderstorm warning. So we may see an extension of the severe thunderstorm warnings from Vermilion and Edgar County into parts of West Indiana. There are some other severe thunderstorm warnings in Benton County. That's an Indianapolis problem. Warren, Fountain, Vermilion, and Park will continue to keep that in the hands of Indianapolis television market and for any issues. I think these storms continuing to weaken, and we'll probably soon be able to start cutting back even more counties. This yellow counties here did get extended until 9 o'clock, but I don't think we're going to make it that far with the tornado watch. That more out of an abundance of caution. In fact, really, Champaign County, we're done for the night here. Notice these green, and these are all flash flood warnings. In the green there, up Interstate 55, they continue to crawl on the bottom of the screen. And we've added some river flood warnings. The Sangamon River in Monticello having some issues. Some rivers out in western Illinois. We know some of the localized rivers and creeks are probably having some higher water in places, and will continue to do that. And this really seems like it's going to be a flooding event for us here and out. But a great view by Kevin there. If we can also put the sky cam where Kevin is at some point, it don't matter how... it doesn't have to look too nice, but we're watching it. We'll get one of the sky cams maybe popped on in, and we're just gonna. I think Jalen's back there, and Master, is that what's or at the driver's seat in the back? Okay, I'm just trying to make you have fun too. So they're trying to see if they can pull up. Eastern Vermilion County in Illinois here, east of Route 1, east of 150 now. The storm's now approaching the state line. Cayuga, that exit there on Interstate 74, they've got that rail, the CSX rail yard there on the east side. There's the old Big Boy restaurant in that side of town. East side of Danville where these storms are heading, but also down towards Forest Glen. That's this area here. Passing Georgetown and Westville, really, those storms are rolling out. We'll still watch here Ridge Farm, this little cell here coming out of Indianola with some gusty winds. Let me see if I have any power outage reports. Update that. We know there were some outages in Springfield associated with power lines down in the north side of town. But power outages numbers, Champaign has about 500 outages. Shelby County has a handful. There's a handful in each county here, but no major outages. And that's good news, especially given the way these storms have been acting. Just some notes for our Indiana friends that might be watching. That new severe thunderstorm warning was extended through some of the Indiana counties from Covington, Cayuga, Mill Creek, Hedrick, State Line, northeast of Danville. You go to, a lot of folks like to go to, you cross into Indiana, you go to the Beef House over there in Covington. We've got in here then, this right here is going to be Petersburg, and then eventually off to the east there, Logan, West Lebanon, some of those areas on that severe thunderstorm warning. They did not elect to put the tornado possible tag. And I think the only reason the tornado possible tag remains in Vermilion County is because this storm warning expires soon, and they really haven't had an update. I would suspect that the next update coming out soon, if they do so, may drop that tornado possible tag. They may keep it, though, as an abundance of caution, given how things have gone. And that's in particular here, you know, we look down here east of east of Arcola near Hinesboro. All right, there, some very weak rotation. Really, if anything, some gustier winds from Bushton heading towards Oakland. 30, 40 mile an hour could be expected. And then again in parts of Vermilion County, I don't have anything glaring. I really think the strongest wind for Danville was on the south side there. See these bright green colors? Georgetown, Ridge Farm, Tilton, those Westville, those areas had the most wind as it pushed off to the east. That severe thunderstorm warning does continue. I think this is going to be the plan for us here. What we're going to do is we're going to keep this going. But since the intensity of storms continues to decrease, since that continues to be the case, we will probably wrap up our digital coverage here in a couple of minutes and at least get a breather. We'll watch, we'll monitor behind the scenes, but at this point I don't expect much more in the way of problems as these storms continue to weaken. I'm just watching this Vermilion County wind here over Georgetown, and if anyone's in that area has some wind reports. A little bit of wind, nothing too crazy. Yeah, we think the wind is more southern Vermilion County at this point. Westville, the rain and hail in Westville shook mobile homes. You guys got shaken up by the earthquake a week and a half ago down there too, probably. So, you know, everything's shaken down there in parts of southeastern Vermilion County. If you remember that earthquake you were watching, or you know what we're talking about. That 3.9 that was just across the border in Indiana. About, I want to say, time flies when you're having fun. A week and a half ago or so when that occurred. So we'll watch this storm continue to the state line and then wrap up our coverage very shortly here. The strongest winds, I think, in Georgetown will be heading off to the east. Perrysville, Eugene points to the east of central Illinois. And there may be some stronger winds here coming into Oakland and Newman and eventually Chrisman. If we need to, we'll jump back on it in coverage, but I'm really not overly impressed with much right now based on what's happening, and I don't think I'm going to be impressed much more with things here. Again, yeah, there's a little wind shear. Yeah, there's some gusty winds, but at this point, the severe threat continues to slowly decline. We're basically left at this point, I think, for we'll keep Edgar and Vermilion County as our main focus, along with southeastern Douglas. We'll keep an eye out for Coles, Cumberland, and Shelby County, and that's about it. Leah's saying it's about to the state line now. Windy, Lynch Road exit there. Wind a little crazy in North Danville. Not surprised by that. Couple of power flickers in North Danville. Christy letting us know about that. We appreciate those reports that you are providing for us here into the region. All right, so let's do a reset in the area. And what I'll do is just to, give me the ability to jump in quickly, is we'll leave the radar on full screen here, and we're just going to be silent. There will be no audio, but we're watching it. That will allow us, if we need to jump back in and let you know something, we'll do that. These storms are already crossing the state line now and continuing to be a problem. And if we can bring full screen max 2 for me, that I think going to be the better option for us for these storms as they push off to the east. That'll give us the chance to at least jump back on if we need to. But I will wrap this coverage up. Just note, WCIA 3 News at 9 and 10 tonight. Going to be a lot of weather to talk about. Some damage from storms in Chatsworth, and lots of rain, roads closed, significant flooding, other tree and power line damage in the area. We're going to have all of those details and more across parts of central Illinois as the storms continuing to exit the area do bring us severe weather. In the meantime, that's going to wrap up our digital coverage. We'll leave the radar stream up until about 7:45, and if I have to, I will chat on in. But I anticipate this to be the last of it. That way, if there's some questions, I can still see the chat, but I need to take care of some business behind the scene and actually produce a forecast for the day too. Here's the forecast for you. More rain and storms. In fact, Sunday may bring the chance for some more rounds of showers and storms. A couple of strong storms do appear possible into the region. That's what we have for you. Again, thanks for joining our digital coverage and trusting WCIA. The radar stream will continue. We will stay live, but we will not have any audio for this here, as that concludes our digital coverage. Hopefully, we'll see you tonight at 9 and 10, and no sooner than that. Take care. Have a great rest of your night.
Even feed her yet.